Hey guys, welcome back to Survivor Dreamcasting. I'm Spartacus, and it has been a while. I've been making a lot of custom shoe videos, and I've been making other Survivor videos, but I'm really happy that we're doing Dreamcasting again. And today we are going to be talking about strategists versus challenge beasts versus social players. So there's going to be 3 tribes of 6, and there's going to be the strategist tribe, which will have people that are always thinking about the game. Obviously they invent strategies. They're good at the strategy. And then we've got the challenge beasts, which are people that are good at challenges, whether it's individual immunity or tribal immunity if they are like the biggest helper on their tribe. And then we also have social players, which this could be categorized into strategy, but it's more of who makes friends with people to further themselves in the game. So let's start. So we're going to start off with strategists, so people who use their minds to get better in the game. So my first one is from Survivor Panama, and I have Suri. This was a very easy one to put on my list. However, it was hard to decide whether I want her in the strategist category or in the socialist category, social player category. Um, and so I did put her in the strategist category because I do have a lot of females in the social player category. Um, so I did have her as a strategist, and she is very great at the game. I mean, you look at Survivor Micronesia, she was like one of the best fallen angels there was. If you don't know what a fallen angel is, that is the person that was voted out right before the final 2 or 3. And then, so yes, I do think that she is one of the greatest strategists. Also in Micronesia, convincing Eric Reichenbach to give up immunity to Natalie. I do think she is a great strategist. Okay, moving on to Survivor Cook Islands. I actually have 2 for this category, and the first one should be pretty obvious. Yule. He is one of the smartest people to ever play the game, and we see this obviously in Survivor Cook Islands, and you could dedicate a lot of his win to him having the super idol, but most of his gameplay was his brilliant strategy, and so I had to have him on this list. The next one might not be so obvious. I have Cowboy. You remember him? Probably not. Maybe you do. But this is the guy that invented the idea of splitting the votes just in case the person you're going to vote out plays an idol so that it gets the other person that you vote for out rather than one of your alliance members. And so I had to have him on this list, even though he's a pretty random player now. I had to have him on the list because that is such a used strategy now that so many people use. So next from Survivor Cagayan. This was very difficult because there are so many great strategists from Cagayan. I mean, you've got Tony, you've got Cass, Tasha. So I ended up going with Spencer, and I think this was a pretty obvious pick. Now, in Cagayan, he played an amazing strategic game. However, we did see in Survivor Second Chance he played more of a social game than he did a strategic game. But I do think that a lot of his social game was strategic. I mean, befriending Jeremy and making alliance with Cass, that was all strategic so that it could better himself in the game. And so I did have him on my list. My next one is from Survivor San Juan del Sur, and I have Kelly Wentworth. I mean, one of the best strategists there is, especially to never win. I mean, we see in Second Chance when she plays into the idea of all of the idols looking different, and so she can make fake ones better. And then we see her having a pretty good run in Edge of Extinction, and not so great in San Juan del Sur, but most of that is because she was on a tribe with her dad, and I do think that that held her back. So my next one is from Survivor David versus Goliath, and this is actually someone that I know many people don't like. I know he wasn't edited well in Winners at War, but I have Nick. And so I know you may have been expecting to see a Mike White or a Christian, but I do think that in this season, Nick was the best strategist. If you look at his game in David versus Goliath, sure, he was about to be voted off first if it wasn't for the medevac. But then he has the idea to make a tribe name, or excuse me, an alliance name with Christian. I mean, Who would have thought of that? That's genius. And then he plays a fake idol to see the reaction from people in his tribe before he plays a real idol. And it's genius. I mean, I think that he is one of the most underrated people to ever play Survivor, let alone to ever win, especially in Winners at War, since his edit was so bad. Now, I'm not blaming Survivor production. I do think that he had a much worse game in Winners at War than he did Survivor David versus Goliath. But either way, he is a great strategist. So now we are going to move on to the challengers or challenge beasts, whatever you would like to call them. So basically, people who are great at challenges, either individual immunity or tribal immunity. So to start off from the very first season, Survivor Borneo, I was really looking for people who, they don't have to be the best challenge beast in the world, but I was looking for people who won challenges to prevent other people from voting them out. And so basically to further themselves in the game in a way that worsens other people's chances of winning. So I do have Kelly Wentworth, and she won 4 challenges to get to the end. And I think if she didn't win those challenges, she would have been voted out, is what I think. And so I definitely do have her on my Challenge Beast tribe. So from Survivor Cook Islands, again, I'm going to have a lot of Cook Islands from that season on my list because there are so many strategic challenge beasts and social players in that season. But from this one, it should be obvious. I have Ozzy, and Ozzy, my all-time favorite player. Like, out of anybody who's ever played Survivor, Ozzy is my all-time favorite. And I know that a lot of people will disagree with that, but I mean, he's just so good. And he's regarded as a challenge beast, and like that's what he's known for. Now, I do think that he is great at strategy. I mean, he invented the fake idol. He did. He made the huge alliance in Survivor. Why am I blanking? South Pacific. I am kind of embarrassed that I couldn't think of that name. But yes, he is great strategically, but he is known for being a challenge beast, and so I had to have him on that tribe. So next from Survivor One World, I have Kim Spradlin, and this is a great social player, a great strategist, and a great challenge beast. But I needed another female challenge beast, and I decided that she has won a lot of challenges in both Winners at War and One World. And I think out of the 3, it would be interesting to see her on a tribe with these people. So next from Survivor Worlds Apart, I have Mike Holloway, and this is another one like Kelly Wentworth, where he had to win challenges to get to the end, and then he did win at the end. And he's close to being my all-time favorite winner. I might be coming out with my favorite winner rankings later, but he's definitely in the top 5. One of my all-time favorite characters in Survivor. And he is just so good at the challenges. I mean, can he even lose? But yes, he had to be on my list. So next from Survivor, Heroes versus Healers versus Hustlers. I did not have Ben, but I did have Chrissy. And I did not have Ben because, we've seen him in Winners at War and Heroes versus Healers versus Hustlers now. And I do think that I would like to see Chrissy again. Now, a lot of people say she should have won, but if you've seen a lot of my videos, then you understand that if they get the votes to win, then I think that they deserved to win. But either way, she is definitely a challenge beast and deserves to be on my list. So this is my first person from Survivor 42 that made it onto a Dreamcast. And I know we haven't even hit the merge yet, but I had to have Jonathan Young. I mean, carrying his whole tribe on his back in the water. I mean, this is Ozzy level stuff, Joe. Like, this is Joe and Ozzy combined. I mean, he's like a Walmart Aquaman. But yes, I had to have him on the list. Even if he doesn't make it to the merge, I do think that he still deserves to be on here because of all the tribal immunities that he's won. And if he does get to the merge, I mean, he's going to go really far. I mean, I seriously think that Jonathan could be someone to break the record for 5 challenges in a row. I think he could get 6. So I am really curious to see how he does for the meantime, he made it onto my Dreamcast. So next for social players, people who make friends, flirt, whatever, to further themselves in the game with other people, who make strong alliances, whatever, whether it's real or if it's fake. So first one from Borneo, I had to have the creator of the first alliance, Richard Hatch. I mean, this is a guy who, I mean, we see in All Stars that he was not so great at the social part. I mean, but and he's never coming back to Survivor. If you watch his YouTube channel, you can tell he totally ruined his relationship with Survivor production, and so he cannot come back. But it's my Dreamcast. I can do what I want. So yes, he did make it onto my list. He was part of the first alliance, so he was on my list. Next from Survivor Pearl Islands, I have Sandra. And I actually have two from Pearl Islands. I had to have Sandra. I mean, first winner. She's going to come back next All-Star season. We know that. But you had to have her. Even though she quit in Survivor Winners at War, we look at all four of her seasons, Pearl Islands, Heroes versus Villains. Those are the two that she won. She's won 2 seasons. And then we go to Game Changers and Winners at War. All 4 of those seasons, with a worse run in Winners at War, but still socially good, she is a great social player in all 4 of these seasons. In Pearl Islands, she is tight with Lil. In Heroes vs. Villains, tight with Courtney. In Game Changers, she's tight with Varner. And in Winners at War, she's not really tight with one person, but she still is good at that social aspect of the game. And so I would love to see her on a tribe with a bunch more people that are doing the same thing as her. And so the next one I also have from Pearl Islands, and this could be a controversial one, but I do have Andrew Savage. And I know when you think of Savage, you don't think social player. I mean, definitely not in Pearl Islands. I mean, with Burton and Lil, But if you look at Second Chance, his main thing was telling sob stories, making friends. And I think this really helped him in the game. Granted, he did get blindsided, but I mean, he is a great social player. And honestly, I was low on numbers for male figures I could have in the social player tribe, and so I did put Andrew Savage on my list. So next from Survivor, Cook Islands. This is another one. I think this is 4 people from Cook Islands now, and I mean, but I have Parvati, and I mean, it's Parvati, definitely a social player. She had to be on my list. Next from Survivor China, I had James. Now, this is another one like Andrew Savage. When you think of James, you think big, strong guy. You don't think of the guy who makes friends. But I definitely see that. I mean, he got close with Parvati, Amanda, Ozzy, all of the heroes in Heroes versus Villains. He was everybody's friend. I mean, and not to mention he is the fan favorite, so he knows how to make people like him. So I definitely had to have him as a social player. Next from Survivor Co. Wrong, I have Michelle Fitzgerald. And this is someone who, she's made it to the end, both seasons she's been in, and one of those seasons she has won. And so I do think that she is a great social player. Even though she's not necessarily a fan favorite, she still is great at the social aspect of the game. Alright, so in the cast, for the strategists, we've got Nick, Yule, Cowboy, Spencer, Suri, Kelly Wentworth. For the challenge beasts, we have Ozzy, Jonathan, Mike, Chrissy, Kim, and Kelly Wigglesworth. For the social players, we have Michelle, Sandra, James, Richard, Parvati, and Andrew Savage. Thanks for watching. See you later.